Friends, colleagues and listeners, here we are with an old friend of the show. I say old, you still look so young, Lewis, so it's amazing. But the person I'm talking about is Lewis King, who's the director and owner of Albion Aviation Group and also Planesook, which we'll cover as well. So Lewis, lovely to have you back. I don't know if you can remember when you were first on.
Thank you, Chris. A couple of years ago, but it's flown by.
Hasn't it?
But
Eh?
yeah, pleasure to be back on the show.
Yeah, you were actually episode number 114.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was good. And you don't look as though you've changed at all, mate. So
Fantastic.
life's obviously good.
It's been good, stressful, but yeah, it's been good.
So tell us, where are you now from where we were back then? Because I know you were looking to do lots of different things, and obviously we'll come to Planesook a little bit later on. But what's been happening in your world?
Yeah, so Albion Aviation Group has grown a lot since we last spoke the last couple of years. Our mainstay is chartering, predominantly cargo.
Yeah.
So we did a lot obviously during COVID, and we continue to do a lot in terms of relief now, oil and gas, etc. We've got the private jet stuff as well, but we've also diversified. So we're now into drone chartering, which I think is a topic we'll touch
definitely.
upon.
Looking forward to that one.
And then we also have Planesook, which is the e-commerce company, which is a branch of, there we go.
For those who don't know what this is, Lewis, over to you, mate. Little bit of advertising there.
Special bit of metal, that's from a BA 747. So yeah, Planesook e-commerce company, upcycling aircraft materials. That's been good as well, although I haven't had too much time to devote to that. It's been primarily on the chartering side.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking to kind of push that forward as well.
And how's that gone now for you? You know, because obviously everybody was expecting a little bit of a dip after COVID, but you know, it seems to be picking up again now.
Yeah, it has. I mean, chartering it is such that, you know, we work with different industries, different verticals. So where one industry may be suppressed slightly, there's always another industry that has a requirement for chartering. So we've seen oil and gas come back to the market in terms of charter demand, sea air more recently. So yeah, I wouldn't say we're recession proof or anything like that, but we work with enough industries to really kind of stay busy, you could say. But yes, there are natural peaks and troughs in what we do.
Yeah. And right, so now, what really caught my eye when you said about the drone chartering.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously there's a lot of subject matter in various medias with regards to the drones, but particularly when you said drone chartering. So come on, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Albion, we've always tried to be first to market. So we were first to market with the broker training, and now drone chartering. So we are the first charter broker that I know of globally to offer drone chartering. So we focus primarily on industries such as construction. So we're looking at mapping, surveying, we're looking at filming, photography, we are looking at agriculture as well. So the way I envisage it, and looking ahead, I mean, as an owner of a company, you've got to always, think what's the next 10 years or so bringing. I strongly believe there will be a sector in the market for chartering. There will be automated flight, etc. So although we're chartering aircraft now, be it cargo aircraft or private jets, naturally there's going to be a shift as technology advances to chartering drones. So why not take the brokering model and simply, move it over to the utilization of drones? And it's been an interesting kind of entrance to the market. It's not a rapid uptake, but I think, as long as we're first to it, which we're seeing, we are working with a whole different bunch of different companies, clients, people that we never expected. So I do see it as a definitely developing market, but it's going to take time to mature along with the technology as well. So.
Okay, and so just give us the basics of how the model will work.
Yeah, so in the same role as a broker, a client will come to us. We've seen it mainly kind of in the filming sector, where someone will come to us, they've got a film shoot, we need a drone operator or a particular type of filming equipment. Can you get this shot? So we then go out to our operators and suppliers in the market, and we'll find the correct kind of drone or camera they need to use, and we'll then connect them with the drone operator, and we'll do the docuseries or the filming or the photo shoot that's required. I partner with, funnily enough, with one of my old school friends. So he operates drones. He has a big inventory of drones. So he's one of my suppliers in the UK, Carbon Kit Films.
Nice one.
And then we've also looked at, or we are currently partnering with other drone operators around the world to help with their research and develop their applications. So we're working with a drone operator in Malaysia who works in the palm fields, so the palm olive fields. So we're working with them to help with their adoption to market for harvesting and going out to other companies that have palm olive fields and see how we can help them harvest more efficiently.
So I mean, I'm just trying to think now. There's lots of talk about the food wastage and how things are done or not done correctly. So I'm assuming that's also a way of almost like competence and compliance to see whether you're in control of what's actually happening.
Yeah.
So you see that as an opportunity. So if you can imagine, people are always giving you data and details on what they're doing, what they're not doing, reasons why they can't do things. Whereas now, especially over large areas, you can actually see what's going on.
We can. In the construction industry, yes. So we've done a lot of kind of time lapses for builds.
Yeah.
We do stuff like roof inspections, predominantly in the UK. I mean, Albion has an office here in the UK and UAE. UAE is heavily restricted for using drones.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in the UK market, yes, construction industry would be one of them, and really kind of landscaping different projects, a bit of 3D mapping, etc. So it's still an emerging market, and it's we're keeping ourselves kind of very thin at the moment to see what clicks, what's best, before we apply our resources or even buy our own assets. But I want to stay true to the brokering model in terms of don't own any assets, but we'll connect client to the operator.
Oh, that's great. And just the way people thinking ahead. And I remember our first one, you were always thinking what can happen, what can happen, what can happen.
Yeah, I think so. And the charter market, it's been around for a long time now. You've got some big players, which we all know, of. So for me, it's about disrupting the market. It's about diversifying, what's the next big thing. And that's how Albion's always been set up and continues to grow and evolve.
Yeah. And you also mentioned about LSP, so the logistics service provider element. So you're also getting in there as well, aren't you now?
Correct. So we have seen e-commerce as a big sector, initially from chartering, so arranging charters for big e-commerce companies and training as well. Some of the first training that I did was for some e-commerce companies in China. And you kind of see a domino effect there, and you get to learn about their pain points in the industry and what they're struggling with. So we have partnered with an LSP at Abu Dhabi Airport, who has a very unique warehouse facility in the sense they've got their own customs, airside access, they can do their own pallet build and break. So and Final Mile, and we're actually selling that as a third-party service, B2C, basically. Okay. And the beauty of that is we have the majority of our clients are freight forwarders, so it's a very easy sell.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can go out to our portfolio of clients and give them that value-added service. That's not necessarily added to a charter, let's say e-commerce charter, but that could just be a B2C simple clearance for them. So yeah, always looking to evolve and really kind of jump on, the most popular moves in the market, and or trying to predict what's the next big thing. And e-commerce continues to grow though. It's an industry that we're interested in and heavily involved in.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And now back to the training. So you've done your own broker manual or your own broker A to Z guide of what you need to do, how to do it, why to do it, when to do it, and that's gone really well, hasn't it?
It has. Again, that was we were, and I believe we still are, the first aircraft charter broker to offer that training, and that was really to raise the benchmark of what is a training in what is an unregulated industry, and that took off very well, and that helped with the credibility of Albion as a new company. But we still continue to do training. I don't really do too much training because I'm quite busy on the charter front, and particularly the new products like the drone charter. But we do have a manual that we sell, very popular, both on the private jet and the cargo side.
Yeah.
And what we find is the beauty of the training is a lot of the people we train actually either come on board and work for Albion, or if they're big enterprises or companies, they will actually use us.
So that's a great segue into...
Not something I essentially planned, but by default, it all comes back to Albion. So it's it's quite a unique product.
But it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, if you're the one who's given the guidelines and they're of value, people want to do work with you. And
I think it's more, a lot of the people we train, not necessarily to become brokers, but to more have an awareness
and understanding
of the market,
exactly.
and how does the charter process work, and how can I, use chartering to help my supply chain, or how can I move my CEOs and chairmen around more efficiently and use their time more effectively. It does always tend to circle back to us. So we have a lot of kind of gravitational pull with all our different products. But it's nice to have such a broad portfolio, because I just didn't want to be the standard broker. I needed to have a bit of an edge, do something different, and that's what I'm always trying to do.
No, good man. That's what it's all about. I want to ask you something now. Like when you're organising charters, all right, handlers are normally selected not by you, correct?
Most cases, we would ask the operator to appoint a ground handling agent. There are times where we can suggest one, but often it would be that they have a framework agreement in place with large GHAs that have several, operating bases. Yeah. So I would say 75% of the time it would be the operator that would appoint the GHA. Yeah.
So now, not to disrupt that relationship or that process, but do you not think that if somebody is responsible for organising a charter, they should also have certain accountabilities of who actually handles that aircraft? The reason I'm saying that is there's been lots of safety issues, lots of lacking training, lacking support for employees. Yeah. The turnover is very high. They struggle with attrition, all the common problems that everybody's talking about. So do you not think that there should be now a little bit more influence on the compliant and the competence elements of selection of who that particular handler should be, rather than a go-to tick box, well, we use these people here, we use these people there.
I think it would be in interest of the client, yes. And when you look at moving particular commodities, then 100%.
Yep.
Because is that ground handling agent equipped to handle this heavy outsized piece? Do they have the right handling equipment? Although they say they might not necessarily do. Or do they have? We came across this recently when we moved some helicopters. Yeah. Can they screen the cargo?
Exactly.
So I think yes, and I think the broker should be more active in helping to select the right handling agent by speaking to their client and understanding the commodity as well, and what the caveats come with this particular move. I'm talking about cargo here. Yeah. But I think it would be in everyone's interest, because it's easy for a broker to sit back and say, yeah, operator, please appoint a ground handling agent, but they may not be fit for purpose.
Exactly. And if they, just my experience, lots of times people don't have an actual operating profile of that particular handling agent.
Yeah.
Everybody can say yes, get the business, then there's problems. Yes is the easiest way to unlock the wrong door.
Yeah.
But also the accountability and the responsibility to do what's right for the personnel as well, because there's been lots of injuries as well, because people are just not equipped or trained to use certain equipment, or the equipment hasn't been maintained the way it should be.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. And the type of stuff that we move is often high value.
Yeah.
It's not, your normal scheduled, skid at 1.6 high lower deck. This is nasty, outsize, often dangerous goods.
Yep.
So yes, I think there should be a better due diligence process and more engagement from operator and client and shipper, consignee, etc.
I think more care needs to go into it. Yeah. And I think nowadays, when there's so many issues happening, even now people who are providing GSE and refurb GSE, if something happens and there's a collision with a high loader or whatever in an aircraft, the carrier has got to start looking at every single position in that process to identify who could have influenced it, or possibly who could have prevented it.
Yeah.
Because it all goes down to their overall liability and their insurance.
At the end of the day. And I think we need to move away from the whole kind of cost thing, because I think we all know that certain agents are appointed on a cost basis, because they are the cheapest. But in this line of work, when you're moving commodities that are valued $500,000, $1 million plus, the cheapest won't work.
Exactly.
And then if something happens, then yeah, it's a bad idea.
And I think people have put risk and worst case scenario and awareness and realities, they've put them into a darkened room,
Yeah.
and they don't open the door or the window very often until something goes wrong, and it's far too late, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's a crying shame.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we should be definitely more proactive on that. And you know, it's very easy for a broker to sit back and kind of let that happen.
Yeah.
But you know, we should have more of a say, I feel.
Yeah, and the accountabilities are so important. Yeah. Also, caring about the people that are operating in those particular areas.
Because they're pivotal to what we do. And I think that was, you forget just how important, let's say, GHRs are and the skills they have and the manpower. And we took them all for granted during COVID, I think, because at the end of the day, an aircraft will not operate unless it can be handled.
Yep.
So they are an important piece of the puzzle. So yeah, having that awareness and you know, are they being treated fairly? Are they being looked after and what have you is quite an important point. So whether, I don't know how that would look from a high level overview in terms of, is there you know, a collection of GHAs that are recognised for their skill, their expertise, how they look after people. I don't know how that's regulated or how that's looked after, but I guess that could be something that's considered, you know, top tier GHAs who know what they're doing and, you know, can tick all the boxes, etc.
Yeah, I don't
think there's any kind of standard.
No. I mean, people have tried, and IATA, you know, they got smart facility, they've got various audits, ISAGO, etc. But I just think a lot of that has now turned into tick box exercises so that people can get their foot in the door.
Yeah.
And if it's really related to caring about, you know, people, practices and performance, because at the end of the day, those are the three core areas that make a difference to any business, especially when you're relying on that business to you know, to be the mainstay and the support of your own business. And I just think people need to be more aware of it, because some of the questions I've asked people, Lewis, they don't know.
Which is worrying.
They don't know what equipment the handling agent's got. They don't know whether they're able. They don't know what the training or what the preventive maintenance program is. Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, you know, this price business is a shame. Yeah. And there's an old adage that if you employ a practical professional, it's going to be expensive. Yeah. But if you don't employ a practical professional, it's going to be so costly.
Yeah. And time as well, you know.
Yeah, you know. Sometimes expensive, you cry once. Cheap, you cry all the time. And I just think now there needs to be, you know, better standards, better appreciation of what really matters. Yeah. And I know you think the same way. Now, moving forward, what sort of challenges or opportunities do you see ahead?
I think there's many for our industry. I think aircraft.
Yep.
I think due to geopolitical conflicts, issues, certain aircraft aren't available anymore, aircraft types, etc. Aging aircraft that we would use, so R-76, AIDA-124s, all within that bracket. So the kind of Soviet era aircraft, you know, are being phased out. So what comes next? There's no more 747 factory built freighters anymore. So obviously they have a timeline as well. So yeah, I think aircraft availability, accessibility, I think that's going to be quite challenging for the broker. And again, the charter broker has to keep evolving. I think I wouldn't say it's easy to set up a charter, but a lot of freight forwarders can do it themselves now. So it's about...
Well, especially with your manual.
My manual, yeah. So it's about evolving, you know, your identity in terms of a broker. Do you take on an asset, for example? Do you start controlling an asset? But then when you have an asset, you disrupt the market because you lose your neutrality as a broker.
Exactly.
So I think that's a decision that a lot of brokers come to. I think with size as well as they grow is, you know, do I keep growing in the ad hoc charter market, or do I take an asset and do I start to manage it? And I've seen the issues with that, and I've seen the pros and cons. I've been on both sides of that. So I think that's one key area. And just continuing to identify new trends in the market. E-commerce continues to evolve. For us, it's the chartering. The drone chartering, how do we penetrate that market? And, you know, we do drone charters in the UK, but it's how do we then take that overseas, how can we do that in UAE or heavily restricted markets?
Yeah.
And often that comes with a lot of cost as well.
So, huge cost, isn't it? I was just I got a couple of mails during this week, and they were asking about, you know, do you think something's going to change now with people who aren't maintaining older equipment because of some of the older equipment now? You're probably aware there's been several incidences where, as a result of something that's happened, either a runway's been blocked off or there's been disruption at an airport and all the ramifications of that. Yeah. And now, you know, they're looking at, you know, obviously investigating each one of those, and then there'll be screening as to, you know, should you allow an aircraft of that age or that, you know, to land,
that's already
because
quite
of the
prevalent.
risk, and, you know. So it's going to, the selection, there's so much more now that a broker's got to take, I think.
There is.
A broker has to and should take into account because of the impact of making the wrong choice for the wrong reason at the wrong time.
Yeah, and you've got to be, and that changes all the time. I mean, if you look at the Middle East region, the GCC, we used to charter a lot of AN12s.
Yeah.
And you can't really get them in any airport in the GCC anymore. And it was a great little aircraft for, you know, 10 tons and, you know, maybe some outsized cargo, not too heavy, but because of the age of the aircraft, it no longer exists in that market. Yeah. So what is the replacement? What do you use? You're seeing a lot of A320, 21s being converted now. They're quite interesting, but again, not really great for outsized loads.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's being a broker, you've got to be always current to the market, and it changes all the time. Yeah. And maybe an airport you went with one aircraft 6 months ago, you can't go anymore. Exactly. So what do? Do you move to another airport and then truck it across the border? You have to get quite creative and inventive. Yeah,
but that's part of why you are what you are, isn't it?
That's how you make the money. Yeah.
That's, you know, I've met so many people now, and I did a lovely podcast with a guy, Peter Carles, you know, the GSA.
Yeah.
What a character that man is. Yeah. I mean, my God, you go back and you look at what he did, the risks he took, calculated, you know, some that he decided to do it, and it's so lovely to see people now pushing the frontier still. And people like yourself, you know, always taking on that challenge of being independent.
Yeah, it's got to be done. I mean, for me, it's second nature. You know, aviation is my passion, so I'm always looking at ways for the benefit of the industry. And as you kind of go through and grow old, it's all about legacy as well. You know, what do I want to leave behind, or what do I want to positive impact do I want to make within the industry that I love, which is aviation. Yeah. And that's always very conscious for me at the moment. Is okay, it's great building a business, but what you actually leaving behind and how you're actually benefiting people, I think it means more to me personally.
And that's what I like you. And obviously we're the same age, so we've got this.
21, right?
Yeah, plus. I wish. No, but we're at opposite ends. But I think when you do come to the end of a career that you've loved and you've enjoyed and has given you so many opportunities, it's almost, I don't know, but it's the right thing to do to try and give something back, so that somebody, doesn't matter whether it's 1 or 100 people, will remember you for doing something genuine to help them be better than they thought they could possibly be themselves.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And I think we can all look back at our careers and the opportunities that were given to us.
And who gave them. And
for me, you know, there's key characters in the industry, you know, Air Charter Service, key characters there, Chapman Freeborn, key characters there, that gave me the foothold. Yeah. And I'm very conscious now to think, okay, so what are we doing as Albion? So we've done stuff like we've had university graduates come work for us, and that was great. And you know, now we're looking ahead, particularly with the drone stuff, is how can we involve the youth? You know, how
exactly.
can we've reached out to a few colleges already, and universities that kind of touch upon the drone utilization to see how we can get them involved in what we do as well. So, and it's the right thing to do.
No, I totally agree. And what a lovely place to end, apart from thanking Salem for introducing Henry and Harry the hamster. People who are looking, they're not really hamsters, but it's part of technology, how things change. And Salem does a great job, and I think sometimes he thinks I don't appreciate it, but I genuinely do. So Lewis, absolute pleasure as always. Thank you so much for popping into England.
Oh, you're most welcome.
You're not very often here, so I really appreciate it.
It's a good opportunity to see the team. We have an office here in London, obviously, so it's good to meet up with them. I base myself primarily in Dubai for the sun.
Yeah.
But it's sunny today, so and fairly warm, so it's been a good couple of days.
Yeah. No, it's an absolute pleasure. Good luck with everything you do, and as always, thank you, and well done for the manual as well. I'm sure that's been a great read for many people.
I think so, yeah. I think so.
I'm looking forward to it myself.
On its way.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
Cheers.